Hello, everyone. Welcome to SkillUpRight's session on Power BI, what to do with dates. I'm here to help you all work through a little bit on dates. My basic understanding is that you have a certain base knowledge of Power BI, and we will take it further with working with time series data. My name is Tarun Agarwal. You can feel free to drop messages here in chat. That will work. So if you have any kind of questions, just drop a message in chat. You don't need to raise your hand, drop a message, and as and when I can, I'll keep answering those questions as well. It's unfortunate that you are all going to be silent. I'm the one who's going to be speaking. That can get a little boring for all of us. But, well, that's the mode. We have only 1 hour, and in this 1 hour, we wish to cover uh, a good bit. So let's get straight into it. I will just share my screen and we can begin. Give me a moment. All right, so my screen is coming up. Share screen. Excellent. So you can see my screen now, and I am going to start with what it is that we want to cover today. A quick introduction to date intelligence. Then we will look at setting up a date table, calculating previous month values, what to do with year to month, how do you do month on month change, and of course some best practices. And well, though it does say QA and hands-on demonstration, it will be primarily the hands-on demonstration, and QA can happen right through. So as and when you have questions, feel free, just shoot them out. Let me see how I can get um, the chat window again here. I would like to see the entire chat. But well, let's start with data intelligence. So is there something that you already have an idea of when we speak of data intelligence? Feel free to just type it in. Why am I not seeing the chat? I should probably check, do a quick sound check. Am I audible? The chat coming up. Okay, great. So I can see that the answer to whether you have a knowledge of dates, data intelligence, how many of you are completely new to Power BI? Let me start with that. Oops. Okay. Hmm. If you're totally new to Power BI, then it's going to be a bit of uh, confusion for you, because I'm sure that as I speak, I will be speaking of concepts that I would expect you to already know a little bit, but I'll try and explain those to you as we go along. So as you can see, I'm about to start my Power BI. I'm launching Power BI. I'm going to work with time series data. What's the meaning of time series data? Anything that has date or time in it. Anything where you use date and time for your analysis or reporting. For example, if I have sales data, I may have order dates. If I have admission data, I may have admission dates. I may have call dates. I can have a variety. So I'm starting out with a blank, completely blank sheet. I have nothing in this. This is a new file. Like some of you already know, everything starts with data, get data. In this case, instead of connecting to an Excel workbook, I will connect to, oh, let me connect to more. I will connect to a folder. So you have under your typical list, you have all of these options to connect data to. You can connect to a big variety of databases, online platforms. There's no shortage. There's a big bunch. But for now, to keep it simple, I'm going to connect to a folder. Here I go. I'm clicking on connect. I need to pull in the data. My first objective is to get data. So I am going to my samples. Of course, I could always browse, but you see, if I click on browse here, I have a rather old-fashioned way of browsing. So I tend to do a little bit of copy pasting. And now if I put a browse here, it's a little easier maybe. Or if it's still a bother, I will go across to where I have slash, and I am looking for sales underscore CSV. So this is the folder that I want. I'm clicking on OK. Let me explain to you what this folder has. This folder has 3 years of data. It has for every month a particular file, a CSV file, which has sales data of some kind for each month for 2006, 7, and 8. Sorry. Do I see this full list here? I don't. Because it says here, the data in the preview has been truncated due to size limits. However, this is all of the files that are inside that folder. Now, I can do a combine and transform load, which is what I will do in this case. For those of you completely new to Power BI, I'm connecting to not one, but a combination of files all at once by connecting to the folder. Now, if you see this, I have here a pop-up that says combine files. What should I take as sample? The system proposes first file. Since all of these files have exactly the same structure, which means they have the same number of columns with the same titles. They may not be in the same order, but they're exactly the same set of folders, file structures. So I say, OK, those columns will get handled at the next step. This is where the Power Query editor gets opened. Now, for the newbies, those of you who are completely new to Power BI, if you see this happen, don't be surprised. Just keep an eye out here, and you can see there's something behind the scenes. Don't just keep waiting. Go here, and you will see that there is Power Query Editor. Sometimes it comes on top, sometimes it goes behind. That's Windows behavior. Don't worry about it. At this point, for those of you who are completely new, I have a query which has been created here called sales underscore CSV. I'm just going to either double click here or overwrite here and just call this sales. Two things have happened. I have here a bunch of data, all of the files, each column that has been pulled in, and I have a source name. Let's go and have a quick look at what my data itself looks like, the one I have connected to. It is a folder named sales underscore CSV, inside which I have 2006, 7, 8. If I click on 6, I can see the files here. So I have 6 all the way down to 12, 2006, January to December. So I have these files. This file name is what has been picked up here and shown as a source.name. I don't quite need it here. Let me remove this column. For my current purpose, it's not required. It can be extremely useful in cases where you want to draw information out from the file name itself. You can manipulate, remove the .csv, whatever the extension, and just use that as is. For now, I have this data. I have year, I have month, I have an order date. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky thing. You see here, there is a date and there is time. Now, we don't think about these things normally, but when you consider date and time together, it increases the amount of storage for any file. In reality here, I do not need the time. I only need the date. I am going to click on this, which is a data type selector. Now, you haven't created any of this. I haven't created any of this. This is something that gets automatically generated by Power BI. So Power BI has started much like Excel, where we used to have macros. These are kind of, you can think of them as the system writing its own macro as we click through. At this point, I've removed this column. I am going to change this order date to just date instead of date time. Just date is enough. I have a lot of other data I'm not interested in at the moment. I don't need to change anything. All of this is just fine. I'm focused on what I want to do with dates for this data. Okay, now before I proceed further, let's talk a little about what dates are about and how Power BI natively manages them. By default, Power BI likes the year, quarter, month, and it does like the date as well, the day. I'm going to show you first what happens by default. Let me do a close and apply. So here, whatever data I changed, I called it sales. I removed one column. I'm going to see this work through all of the files that are there, every single file, apply the changes, combine the files. So if there are 36 files, 34 files, whatever, it will combine the lot one below the other, and it gives me the full set. Here, I have data. In this data panel, I can expand sales, and it shows me in alphabetical order the names of the columns. I already have year, I have month, but I also have order date. Now, what can I do? There are a bunch of other things that I should be able to do to clean up this data. I'm not doing any of that because I'm focused on working with date information. I'm interested in sales amount. There, I have sales amount. I'm dragging and dropping the sales amount right here. Is it my system that's slow or did I not drop it? Ah, I've dragged and dropped it and it shows me 29.31 million. Whatever that may mean. It doesn't matter at this point. Like I said, what do we do with dates? I want to see by order date. What happens if I add order date into the mix? Oops, this visual doesn't cut it for me. So this is replacing what I had. So I'm going to change my visual. Let me put, okay, I'll take a clustered bar chart. Okay, I'm taking a bar chart. I have now XY axis, legend, small multiples, bunch of things. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in sales amount. Let me add the sales amount into the x-axis. Let me add the order date into the y-axis. Ooh, okay. While this is great to have an overall view, you can see this can be a little overwhelming for the system. What am I seeing here? Jan 2006, July 2006, Jan 2007. Should I increase the height so that it gives me greater visibility of the months? Let's do that. But it's a lot of data. So I can see currently all of my data by months. Have the months themselves disappeared? I have the months. What do I see here? Order date, every individual order date. Let me select this again. And let's come back and see if there are any questions. So could you drill down from year, month, day? Oh, I haven't yet done that. It's good you asked. And I have someone who has posted that you have to click on blank report. We generally start with a blank report. So I have added in this data. I can see order date, and this date gives me at this moment all the dates, every single individual date. You see this? I have the option of moving dates around. I have the option for those of you who are completely new. I have the way I can move things around. I can add legends. I could perhaps say, let's not take the order date. Let's focus on year. How about I add year here? I can also add the month there. So I have dragged and dropped year, month, and I've kept order date below that. This shows me I have year information. This was 2008 sales. This is 2007 sales. This is 2006 sales. All good? Does this look good to you? How about I move this? Give me a moment. I want to ensure that I don't miss your questions. I'm going to move this into a second screen so I can see your chats. Right. So I have here all 3 years data. First, by year, because that's what is available to me. So I'm seeing year. What did I start with? Let's go back and have a look at what we started with. We started with individual month-wise files. I have 12 files here, 12 items in 2006. In 2007, I have again 12 items. And in 2008, I have 12 items again. So there are 36 files. All 36 files have been combined to give us this data. 2008, 2007, 2006. Now, we can look at this data in different ways. I'm going to slice this data. I'm going to do I'm turning on going to the next level in the hierarchy. When you select this, you have options called drill down. Then you have two parallel arrows facing down, which is go to the next level in the hierarchy. What is the meaning of hierarchy? I've created a hierarchy here by putting year, month, and order date one below the other. This is a very light hierarchy only for this chart. I have the option of expand all down one level in the hierarchy. Let's experiment with these. I'm going to start with go to the next level in the hierarchy. Straight away, this has moved from 2008-76 to the next level in the hierarchy, which is month. So it is now totaling up all the Januaries, sorry, this is the other way around. This is all the Decembers, Novembers, and so on and so forth. Every month across 3 years. So this shows me that June is a very good year, a good month typically. as is December, November and December as well. Unfortunately, Jan, Feb, March, not a great period. Somewhere after that, it starts picking up. June is a big bounce, and I have 11 and 12. That is November and December as well. What does this look like? This gives me a quick view month-wise of the data. Let's go back now. Instead of going down to the next level, I'm going to now expand everything down. What's the difference between these two? When I clicked on this, I shifted from the year, I threw away the year, and I retained only month, and I moved month down. How did I add year and month? I had already in my data a column for year and a column for month. I will show you how you can add these also, but we are focused at the moment on, yes, there's a question here as to can we show month name instead of alternate numbers for month? Of course. In fact, I'll show you that's one of the key purposes of today's session. We'll see how you can enrich any data. But more on that after we've understood what expand all down does. In next level, we got rid of year and we retain only month aggregates. What if I want to retain year and months below that? Now, when I click on this, what it does, it gives me 2006, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down. 2007, ditto. 2008, ditto. Okay, so I'm seeing here data which is available to me in the context of the upper level item. Month is my lower level item, which I'm seeing here, and the upper level item is year. And therefore I have year. Remember that Power BI has no knowledge, no understanding of year and month in this specific scenario. I could very well put month on top. And if I click on expand all down one level, it will show me January 2006, 2007, 2008, February 2006, 2007, 2008. So you can play around with it. You can do what you need. If you want to compare all the Januaries for 3 years, you can do that here. Let me bring this back in to the top. So we looked at going to the next level. We looked at this as well about expanding all down one level in the hierarchy. What happens if I turn on drill down? Instead of all of my data, drill down is going to work as a filter. If I click on 2006, or let's say 2007, I'm clicking on 2007. When I click on 2007, well, I click too fast. It moves down to 2007's data, 2007, month 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So I have now removed the rest of the data. This has filtered it out because I have turned on drill mode. Drill is a filter. If I click on January 2007, oops, this will show me within January every single date, order date. For all of these dates, I have orders and these are the totals. So now I have drilled down from year to month to date. What can I do natively within Power BI? Let me go back to transform data. And in transform data, I have certain options. I take the order date. For this order date, because I want additional information on this, I can click on add column. Don't forget, you all have access to the recording of this, which will be shared with you all later. So that's why if you're missing something, don't worry about it. And I have a question here, which is most interesting. can we further drill week-wise for a month? Oops, no. This is where Power BI does not have a week option. It does not give you the mechanism to go from week to month, from months to week. From months, you go straight down to date. But there are other options available to you within Power BI itself. You see here, I have selected order date. I have gone to add column, and in add column, I have a date option. So I click on date. I have a lot of options. I can say age. If I click age, it gives me the complete difference from current date to that particular date, and so on and so forth. I'm interested in week. So I will pick week of year. What does this do? Week of year, as those of you already familiar with Power BI, uh, any new column is placed at the extreme right. So I have week of year. If I leave this as is and I go ahead and say, OK, home, close and apply, I should see week of year appear in this list. Give it a moment, and here it comes, week of year. So if I select my chart, and in my chart, I drag and drop week of year and add it below month. Let's drill back up from order date. If I drill back up from order date, what happens is that I get now 2007, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the week numbers. There are 5 week numbers in January 2007. So I have 2007, 1. You may not see it very clearly, so let me try and increase that. Okay, so I'm not going to change too much. Let me take my x-axis, y-axis here, and the y-axis. Let's increase a little bit, just so you can see it. So you can see here 2007, that's the year, this is the month, and this is the week number. So we have these numbers available to us. So looking at all of this allows me, I just added week of year by automatically calculating it there. There are different ways of doing it though. I'm now going to move away from this concept of the standard bits within Power BI. I could keep creating more and more options using transform data like we did earlier. We added the week of year by selecting order date, going to add column, date, and we said give us a week of year. We could say week of month, start of week, end of week, day. There are lots of options. You can see here, there are many, many different options available. Now, how do you intend to, I have a question here which says, can we define week start and end in our way? Well, what I will do is I will give you a mechanism to do all of this. I'm going to use the concept of a date table. Give me just a moment while I explain the differences and the need for a date table. Um, Now, I have here two different chart options. Imagine that I have data and I want to see that data. Would you like to see the data like this or like this? Which works better for you? Let's call 1 and the one below, let's call that 2. Which one is better for you, 1 or 2? Oh, We seem to be very evenly divided between 1 and 2. Practically everyone I'm seeing a 2. So let's see what information the chart gives us. The purpose of a visualization is to give us information, is to help us understand it. What do I see here and what do I see here? I see here that I have data for Jan, Feb, March, May, June. Here I see I have data for Jan, Feb, March. Oops, there's no data for April. Then I have May and June. Which is more helpful to me? This looks cleaner, but this in fact is more informative because in one, I can clearly see that there is no sales. Why there was no sales? Yes, there's a reason for it. Maybe the store was shut for renovation for a month. I have no sales happening here. So I have Jan, Feb, March, April, 0, May, June. But 0 is information for us. So how many of you would like a laddu? And how many laddus would you like? I'm waiting for the responses. How many laddus would you like? I'll give you a choice. You can have laddus, rasgullas, jalebis, or gulab jamuns. Choose. 10, 2, half a laddu. Ouch. I feel for you. So you have different numbers there. What if I asked you, how many of you would like one good whack with a stick? I'm waiting for the responses. Arif has just responded 3. I don't know if he's responded late for laddus or for the whack with a stick. But 0 is a value. 0 means something. And therefore, it is good to have that in the data to be displayed. Now, why do we not see 0 here? Because when I draw a chart, it is going to pick up the values that it has. Since there was no sales in April, there is no date to display here. And therefore, it automatically shows me this. This is what I get to see if I take the data directly. But if I use the concept of a date table and I create a date table which has all of the dates from the start to the end of this period, then I will get to see a chart like this. And that's why we need a date table. So let me create now a date table. I'm going to use what is called a script. So I have a script which there are lots of available date scripts out there. If you can see this, this is Melissa Cotter is an expert in Power BI and has created an excellent date table. I use my own because I had certain slightly different needs. So I have created my own date table. And this date table, don't get overwhelmed. It's a lot of, I know when I was new to this, I used to look at it and go, brr, what is this? But don't worry about that. This is really something that I'm copying, Control C. I am going into Power BI. Where's my Power BI? Yes, I'm going here and watch this carefully. I'm clicking on Home again in the Power Query Editor. I am adding a new source and a blank query in that, a blank query. So it creates query 1. Clearly doesn't know what I want because it can't read my mind. So since I've selected blank query, it has created query 1. I'm going to rename this, double click and type it, call it dates. I can't use DATE because date is internally used by Power BI to mean something else for its own calculations. So I'm going to name this something else. I'm calling it dates. There are people who name it all kinds of things, date table, key dates, date key, lots of things. Your choice, long as you don't call it DATE. So I have dates. Now watch carefully. Whatever I had copied, I'm going to click on Advanced Editor. Advanced Editor. Delete whatever's in here and paste what I copied from the script just now. Before I close, there is one thing that I need to do. I need to look at the configuration. My data is from 2006 to 2008. So I am going to change this from year to 2006. I see your question, Himanshu, about the script. If I'm able to share this, I will try and share the script. Let me see if that's possible. I'm not entirely certain. I haven't actually tried this before. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't allow me to share the script with you, but I can tell you that this is a script. How do I do this? Vinod, are you there? Okay. Vinod, do you think that it's possible for us to add the script in the YouTube video or not? Because I don't know, I've never tried that. Let me know if we can. If not, I will tell you how you can create this. You need to be a little demanding of ChatGPT, plus there's a lot of trial and error involved, but you could potentially do that. I'm going to show you now. I have changed 2006 from year to year 2008. My first day of week. This is coming back to the question we got earlier on, can we modify the start of the week? So yes, you can modify the start of the week. You can type in whichever day of the week you need to be the first day of the week. If you need Sunday, then you can type day dot Sunday. If you need Monday, which is a standard, then you can have day dot Monday. You can also set the fiscal year, financial year, as opposed to standard Power BI functionality, which only looks at the calendar year. You can also set a fiscal year or financial year. At this point, it is set to April. I leave this as is. I'm not touching the rest. I just click on done. Like I said, you will have access to this video and you can always watch it again. So I'm not repeating my steps. So I have the date, I have days and months, day of month. For every single date, I have information on how many days in the month there are here, how many days are remaining, have been completed, and how many remain. You will also have which day of the week this is, what it's called in a long form, in a short form, in a really short form, and so on and so forth, extending to which week of the fiscal year, which week of the calendar year this is. So 23rd Jan falls, 2006 falls on the fourth week of the calendar year, but 43rd week of the fiscal year or financial year starting in April. So starting April 1st, this is the 43rd week. And so on and so forth. There's a lot of data that you can get, lots of information. We'll see now with sales and dates set. I'm going to do a close and apply. Yes, it's possible to configure holidays as well, but we don't have time today because we have only 1 hour. I'm racing to ensure that we cover what I do want to cover. What I've promised you that I will cover, I will try and cover whatever we can. But yes, you're right. You can configure holidays. So now I have here, besides sales, I have a new table called dates. What's the advantage? Let me leave this as is. I'm going to open a new page. And in this page, First, let me drop in a week. Let's say week of calendar year. So I have a calendar week of calendar year. So I'm dragging and dropping week of calendar year. Oops, what has it done? Because it doesn't know, it is considering this as something to be counted, a number to be summed up. So I've selected this, and up here on the ribbon, I have summarization. Say don't summarize it. This is a list that I want. Let me drag and drop week of calendar year again. It gives me a list all the way down to 53, 1 to 53. Should I add a year as well to separate it out? Let me add year up above. So I have year. Again, same problem. I don't want the sum of year. Don't summarize it. In fact, don't summarize the year ever. Now, anywhere I use it, it will use the year as is as a number without adding it all up, which makes no kind of sense. So I have 2006 Jan, 2007 Jan, 2008 Jan. Now, let's look at what we really need. We need sales. Sales amount, here we come. Drag and drop sales amount. And this gives me strange. You see this? I am seeing exactly the same amount everywhere. Let's increase the size. Okay. I'm seeing the exact same amount. That's because I've missed a step. I will go into the model view. And here I want order date to be connected, related to date's date. I'm creating a relationship. Order date to date's date. Many to one, single, make this relationship active. Save. What does this one single activity do? It creates a relationship connecting order date from sales to date in dates. And going back to my report view, it gives me for each month, year combination, the sum of sales amount. Week, my mistake, week and year combination. So I can see this now by week. In fact, let's go one further. Let me get rid of 2006 and the week of calendar year. Okay. And I want to see across 3 years, all of my data, which particular day of the week are my sales higher? How do we do that? Let's expand dates, go down to day of week. I have day of week name, day of week name short. I'll just take day of week. There. So now this shows me for day 0, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, 6. What does this mean? 0 to 6. No one's ever tried understanding what that means. Let's take day of week name short and drag that in instead. So I have this. I can see Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, da da da. And if I wish to see this as a chart, I can see which was higher, which was lower straight away. Okay, so this is my view from a week perspective. So far, we have added the date table, which has given us some superpowers in terms of dates. But I want to go a step further. I want to use a pattern. Let me explain what my pattern is going to be. I'm going to create a formula to calculate for any given month. So let me add a month, year-month combination. I have year-month here. I will add year-month as a filter. I will change this to a filter. There, slicer. So this is my slicer. I will format the slicer. Again, this can be quite confusing. Don't hesitate to come in here and look at the video again. Let me make this a drop down, and I want a single select at any point in time. Rather small. Let's increase the size. Okay. So as I change this, I can see in October 2006, Monday had the highest sales and Saturday had the lowest sales throughout that month. Now I'm going to use the DAX formulae to create a new measure. Let me show you what this looks like, and let me see if I can copy paste it for you all here. This is CM stands for current month. Can I paste it? Oh, yes. I pasted it in here. Yes, I have a question here on how Power BI differs from pivot chart and table. Pivot chart and table, if you were to give pivot chart and table, how shall we say it? Okay, pivot chart and table are Clark Kent and Power BI is Superman. Sorry, I'm being extremely brief in my explanation. Now I'm going to create a new measure. I'm going to use my pattern right here. It's a simple formula. Sales, CM, calculate. So I'm going to calculate from the sales table. Which is it that I have? What do I have there? Sales amount. What's happening? It's not prompting me. What happened to it? It's unhappy about something. So sales CM, it says a single value for, calculate. I missed sum of. Right. So let me paste this in for you. So you have it in there. Right. So I've got sales CM. I'm going to drag it in here. This gives me the current month sales. Whichever the current month, it gives me the total sales. So I have by day of week, and I have here a value, which is the total of sales for this month, current month. What if I wish to know what is the previous month's? So let me click on this, copy this entire formula, create a new measure. Again, I fully expect that you're feeling that your brains are getting fried Don't worry about it. This is a video that will be available to you. You can come back and look at it again. I was looking at current month. My current month is whatever month is selected here in the context. I'm now going to change this and say -1 and call this sales current month -1. Wait for it. And I will add here previous month. So I have my current month sales. I have my previous month sales. Any guesses on how I can understand the difference, the growth percentage? How do I get the month on month change? Let's add a new measure. I want to have the month on month change. So I will say month over month change percentage is equal to. So what do I want to do? Anyone? So sales CM minus sales CM -1. So if I can decide how I want to do this. I want to just subtract, or I also want to say divide this value by sales CM -1. Let's make it a percentage. And I have MOM change 1. I don't normally do this. I create a different table, but we don't have time. So in the interest of time, I'm keeping it brief. This is our change. Because the previous month was higher, we have a negative growth of -26.07%. So this is what it is like to work with a date table. That date table gives us so many powers because we can just drag and drop things like this very rapidly. That date table is complex in itself, but it needn't be because you have regular date tables that you can download. People have shared them online. There are lots of them. You can search for Melissa Cotters. You can get that name. Here you go. Date table from Melissa Cotter. So there you go. I hope I'm pronouncing it right since I'm not quite sure whether it's Cott or Cotter, but well, since I have no way of verifying that, here we go. So coming back to what we were looking to cover, what I wanted to show you, oops, was setting up a date table, which we did, calculating the previous month's values, which we did, year-to-date calculations, which remain, calculating month over month, which we finished. Now I will come back to, I may not have time for best practices. Looks like I was too ambitious. Now I have here aggregation. Let me just, so we need an aggregation, whether sum, average, whatever it is. Now I'm going to show you another one. This is for me to understand. So let's say May 2006. This is May 2006. I'm going to create a new measure. Since we are running out of time, I'll be quick about it. And there. So I want sales YTD. As you can see, I need to create here sum of sales, sales amount, last date, dates, date. So I have sales YTD. I am dragging and bringing in sales YTD. This gives me context that at this moment, this is my current months, this is my last months, this is the month over month change, and this is my total sales value for sales year to date. If I switch from this to the next month, it goes up. If I go to the previous month, it goes down. I can take it for absolutely any month and it will give me for that year month combination, the sales YTD. I'm hoping that this was clear enough for all of you. The video will help. Once you have a date table, the fact of a date table makes already a big difference. If I go into my table view and I select dates, I can mark this as a date table. Therefore, Excel will always consider this as the default date table. Mark as a date table. So any inbuilt date tables associated will be removed. I'm perfectly all right because this is richer for me. I need the date, save, and done. So it works without that, but this is definitely going to solve other problems for you in the future. So mark this as a date table and keep it ready. I wish we had time for a lot more. Let me know if this is something that interests you, if you want to learn more, if you want to understand a little slower with more repetitions, reach out to SkillUpRight, talk to your L&D, introduce us to your HR, however it is that you want to do this, you can do it. This is Tarun Agarwal. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We have the last 2 minutes before we take it further. Thank you. Feel free to reach out to SkillUpRight. You can drop them a message. And well, I hope that you explore more with Power BI and dates. You should receive a link for this soon. So just you'll hear from them. You can install Power BI in your Office system if the rights are there, if they allow you to. Some companies do, some companies don't. But it's free. You can download Power BI's desktop version at home on your personal PC also. Up to you.